Vampire Diaries Season 8, Episode 10, Nostalgia's a Bitch. I really enjoyed this episode. I thought it was a really good emotional episode, specifically towards the end, once all the forgiveness and everything started to really come out. I was like, this is actually very cool. There's a lot of stuff coming from Damon that I really didn't expect once he actually broke out of being trapped inside his own mind. But ultimately, I think this was just a good episode overall. It started off pretty simple. It's like, okay, Damon's trapped in his own mind. We have to figure out what to do. They, Bonnie and Caroline find out that Sybil is in the basement because that's where Damon initially put her. And so they have to use her in order to help Damon, and they have to help her get the bell. And of course, Stefan shows up and is like, okay, whatever, because he's just all over the place. He's like, whatever gets what I need done, sure, that's what I'll do. So whoever I need to help, that's who I'm going to help. And I kind of like that idea. He's not really on anyone's side. It's what he's agreed to do and what he prefers to do as well. So I thought that was actually kind of cool, where it starts off, he's helping Sybil, they go through all this stuff, and then Cillian comes in and is like, yeah, but if you help me instead of her, you can just have one of them ring the bell, wipe out the whole city, that helps your plan, everything works out beautifully for you. And I thought that was actually kind of cool. So he just decided, okay, sure, no problem. And I just like that idea. It was just him kind of going through the motions. Everyone else has like a very defined path, what they're really trying to do, and he's just kind of whatever, if this works, then that's what I'll do, and then it switches in the middle, and no, that's what I'm going to do. So I like that idea of him just going back and forth and doing what works best for him, as Caroline and Bonnie go through Damon's mind. And it starts off simple, where it's like, okay, this is weird, because I think it was Henry was the guy's name, and it starts off simple. It's like, alright, that's weird, we couldn't figure out what the heck was going on, and so Sybil has to help them through Damon's subconscious. And we end up seeing a lot of characters that have died in the show from, when they brought Vicky back, I was like, holy crap, that was like a super long time ago. I feel like that was only like, I feel like she died in like the second season, maybe the third season, but I feel like it was the second season. And so they brought her back, which I thought was pretty cool. They brought back like just a ton of characters, which was very cool. And they go through the motions like, alright, well, we have to figure out where the heck Damon is. Eventually they realize that all these people are alive because Damon, simply put, never became a vampire. That was the best world that he could imagine, is one where he didn't exist as a vampire. He lived and died only as a human. So all of the people that he cared about were safe. All the people that he was kind of neutral about, he still felt bad for. So even they're safe, like Vicky. And I like that idea. And they go through this world, and Caroline has her moment, and so she kind of gets pushed out of Damon's mind. And then Bonnie has her moment with her grandmother, and she realizes that in order to save Damon, it wasn't for either of them to forgive him. It was actually for him to forgive Stefan, which even Stefan thought was wrong. It was like, alright, hey, I'm here to say, I forgive you. And Damon kind of tells him, like, it's not for you to forgive me, it's for me to forgive you, because despite me being kind of the worst of the two of us for the most part, none of that would have happened if you hadn't basically forced me to turn because you were too scared to do it on your own. And I thought that was pretty cool. It's like, alright, that makes a lot of sense. And they go through, and of course, Stefan's still mad, and I thought it was interesting. It kind of seemed like a bit of his humanity was breaking out, where he was like, what do I have to apologize for? But he was still getting upset about it. So I thought that was kind of cool. I was like, alright, there's something there. It probably won't lead to much, anytime soon. Probably not until like, last couple episodes. But I still thought that was cool. Like, he gets really mad at Damon and stuff. It's like, how can you, basically, how can you possibly think, I should be forgiven for something when you've done all this insane stuff, including this right here, where I'm working for Cade to kill off a ton of people. So I like that moment. And he comes out of it, and that's right around that time the bell starts ringing, and I was very curious how that was going to play out. I'm like, alright, Matt still made it. I was honestly like, holy crap, this is how they're going to kill him off. His father's going to have to kill him, and of all the things in this show, it would have to be his father that kills him off. And I was just like, man, that would be a crazy way to do it. But even then, he still manages to make it. And of all the people, Damon's the one to end up saving him. So I thought that was actually cool. He takes out Stefan. The bell rings almost 12 times. And of course he gets there just in enough time to save Matt from his own father and save the entire town from being engulfed in hellfire. So I thought that was very cool. It's like, alright, that's a nice way to do that. So he saves them. They actually have a surprisingly nice moment where Matt's like, hey, I don't forgive you. Like, we're not good. It's not by a long shot. But you keep doing what you did tonight and earning it the way that you are. I won't rule anything out. And then he mentions that he's going to go back to being the sheriff because the former sheriff took off because a bunch of people died in Mystic Falls, and he freaked out and left. So Matt is going back to being sheriff, which I thought was cool. And they had a great line where Damon's like, I've always liked the sheriffs in this town. And they kind of just do the respectful nod thing. And it's like, man, I never thought I'd see the day where anything like that would happen. And I'm pretty sure he called him Matt in this episode. He never does. He's always just like Donovan. And that's it. And I feel like he said it. He may not have done it, but he still saved his life. And he saved the whole town. So it's like, all right, this is a crazy good episode for redemption for Damon. And we actually get to see, especially from Caroline, that was one of the cool things where she mentions why she truly forgave Damon. And I like that moment where she's like, of all the crazy, horrible things that he did, the reason I forgave him is because he was the one person who kind of really understood what it felt like to lose Caroline's mom. And I was like, that's cool. That is one of those things where it's like, it doesn't excuse him, but it's just one of those things where it's like, somehow it just goes over all the other bad stuff he did. Mostly because none of that stuff was permanent outside of the Tyler thing, which it was cool to see him show up too, because I was like, oh, it still sucks, but we got to see him as well. And, Bonnie has her cool moment where she talks about the letter, which I forgot that was even a thing, but he's like, if he wants me to forgive him, then he should read this letter to me himself. And he does that, and he says the whole letter, and she tears up and everything. And I was like, that was a really cool moment as well. And he mentions, he'll never leave again, stuff like that. So that was a great moment of redemption for Damon. They had some really cool moments, very surprising moments. The stuff with Matt was the biggest surprise to me. Like, man, that was like Matt's whole thing against Damon is like, he was going to let him suffer, and then once he was compelled, it's like, I might be able to forgive him, but definitely not in the next 10 minutes. He was going to destroy the entire town. And I like that. I was like, I like that they had a point of neutrality almost. It was like, we're not good, but what you just did was insanely amazing. Like, no one could deny that. He saved the entire town, literally. So, yeah, that little moment of respect, I was like, that's very cool. I never really thought we'd even get that much between those two characters. So that was really nice. Ultimately, everything seemed to wrap up in a nice little bow. Everybody's saved. Technically, they have Stefan now. He's locked up in the basement, so they can work on him. And then we get to the scene where we have Selena and Sybil sitting in this diner. I have to randomly mention this because it's super nerdy, but they had Earth Angel playing, which is the song that plays at the end of Back to the Future, so I had to mention that. But they're talking, it's like, if Stefan and Damon can make amends, anything's possible. And then that ends up being wrong, because it's like, alright, I was like, I forgive you, and then it just falls apart after that, and they try to make it work, and Cade just walks on in, he's like, oh, my children are still arguing after all this time. And we find out that the 11th ring, even though it didn't get to the 12 to destroy the entire town and engulf the whole place in hellfire, it allowed for Cade to jump back into, I guess, this world. And he just kills them both. And that really surprised me. So they are finally gone. Like, Sybil has died I don't know how many times now. And Celine's been kind of keeping it nice and sweet. Like, she's been in hiding. I was surprised to even see her in this episode. Like, she does something, and then she's gone for 3 episodes, then she comes back, and then she's gone for a while. And she comes in this episode. I'm like, okay, let's see where this goes. I thought they would actually band together. I thought they would end up kind of being partners. I thought they were going to team up and end up trying to kill Cade. That's where I thought that was headed. And then Cade walked in, I was like, oh. And he's like, nah, I got this. Like, you guys failed me, so I'll do it myself. And they burn alive, and so they're gone now. And he's just sipping his coffee or whatever he was drinking. And they just roast alive. So now Cade is not only the main villain, but he's actually there to antagonize all the characters. So I'm very excited for where they're headed with this. I have no idea how many episodes we have left in the show. I'm sure they'll tell us once we get down to like the final 5 or something. But I thought this was a really good one. Very emotional towards the end. But all the way through, they had some good emotional moments. Caroline seeing her mother in general, which kind of twisted because, of course, then it went into she was being tortured by her mom, so that kind of changed the heartfelt moment. But Bonnie seeing her grandmother, just like I said, everything they did at the ending I thought was very emotional and well done. And then a nice little twist surprise where Cade is now able to physically attack everyone if he wants to, and he can just psychically set people on fire. So I think that might be a bit of an issue for everyone, you know, whether you're human or vampire, being just instantly scorched. Probably bad. So we'll see how that plays out. But I love this episode. Would love to know what you guys thought about it. So please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, your least favorite parts. And now that Cade has come to our world, what is that going to mean for the characters? Because his whole goal is basically, I just want to kill bad people. So does that just mean that's what he's going to do? He's just going to do it himself now? Or is he still going to try to have Stefan and Damon do it? Does he not really care that much anymore? Of course, the promo is like, hey, you can kill this many people or just this one person, because he wants to torture Damon, I guess, for escaping. But obviously that'll work out somehow in the next episode, and we'll still have the rest of the season. So I would love to know where you guys think it's headed now that Cade is actually in the world with the rest of the characters. And of course, like I said, I want to know what you guys thought about this episode in general. So please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.